keep beckoning to me.
There are 42 different ethnic groups in Kenya, and their rich and diverse cultural practices, customs and traditions add colour and variety to the Kenyan landscape. Some of those customs and practices are now meeting resistance. Along the Lake Victoria Basin in Western Kenya, the cultural practice of wife inheritance, an age-old tradition, is now facing a challenge in the face of the HIV/AIDS pandemic, which has become a national disaster. What exactly was the purpose of wife inheritance?
It was meant for a man to come and take care, be a good advisor. These people could have a companion to maybe consult a consultant, so that they can consult, they can share ideas. These people, this gentleman or this man could give directives or assist the members of this family in any way a husband was supposed to do.
Wife inheritance was intended to provide security to a widow and her children. Today, that concept is being abused. An increasing number of widows are losing their rights to land and property to their late husband's family members. Today, the burial of a husband can be the beginning of a long and tortuous journey of deprivation and banishment, particularly if the widow refuses to be inherited. All this under the shadow of HIV/AIDS. Pamela Simba lost a co-wife as well as her husband a few years ago from AIDS-related illnesses. She's now left with 5 children to look after, 2 from her co-wife and 3 of her own.
Shida ile ambayo niko nayo sana, sioni kama niko na chakula ya kutosha kwa boma.
My biggest problem is getting enough food, because what you can see here is the only land I have that I can cultivate.
Knowing she was HIV positive, she declined to be inherited. She was aware that any sexual relationship would lead to reinfection. The reaction from her husband's family has been harsh and brutal.
My
in-laws are angry with me because I refused to be inherited. One time they even beat me up to force me to be inherited. I did not want to be inherited since I knew that I had the HIV virus and I could die early and leave my children. I decided that no man will ever come to my homestead and force me to be inherited.
Many widows who've objected to being inherited suddenly become strangers in their own homes with no rights of association.
I may not plant or have a shamba in the same area in their land, and I can't go to somebody's house, even the mother-in-law, because I'm not inherited. Another thing, I can't maybe enter a homestead, another homestead, apart from our homestead within this area. And I can't eat with somebody, maybe mother-in-law or sisters-in-law or brother-in-law.
Damaris agreed to be inherited after her husband was murdered by robbers 14 years ago. Sadly, now she too has contracted the HIV virus from her inheritor.
I had to get myself an inheritor so that he could build a house for me. He later became promiscuous and infected me with the HIV virus. I had a child with him, even though I was HIV positive. I eventually chased the inheritor away.
Widowed as well as being HIV positive, Rose wanted to prevent spreading the disease further for the sake of a custom. She felt she had to protect herself from reinfection as well as avoiding infecting her inheritor.
Koro mine madongo madala ka to ne ok ong'eyo
Although I knew, my elders didn't know that my husband died of AIDS. They insisted that I was inherited. My brother-in-law brought an inheritor to me, and then we gave him alcohol to get him drunk. We went to bed, and I put on a condom for him before we had sexual intercourse. My son later warned me about having a relationship with the inheritor, because in our neighborhood, another widow had died of AIDS after being inherited. He feared that I would die and leave them destitute. When he came back the following day, my son chased him away.
There's a strong belief that a curse will fall on a woman and her children if she's not inherited. However, many women are now turning against widow inheritance. If they do refuse, the widow and her children are denied access to land and property that belong to their dead husband. Some cases of inheritance border on the bizarre. If the family knows that the widow is HIV positive, a total stranger in the community, or sometimes a mentally handicapped person, is sought to perform the ritual of sexual intercourse, just to signify that inheritance has been performed.
When my husband died, I was told to look for a mentally handicapped man to inherit me. I searched for one, but in vain. So I decided not to be inherited. Since I'm not inherited, I've been denied the title deed of my late husband's land.
Wife inheritance is a tradition that can infringe on the basic rights of women, the choice of a widow to remarry. Many widows have now formed their own groups to provide emotional support and improve social and economic empowerment.
Ever since I joined this women's group, I am more active and stronger emotionally because we share experiences and exchange ideas. We console and encourage one another as we work together to earn a living. We are very empowered by being part of this support group.
Gimoti more nyale na ira chonyo ebe ungayo no kimone go chwa